Hey, welcome back to Event Tech Live Las Vegas. I am joined by podcast producer. It's Rachel Moore, everybody.
Hi. Hi. Nice to see everybody.
Sure.
Thank you. I can almost hear you through the cameras.
The gentle roar. Excellent. So Rachel, you're a Event Tech Live veteran.
I am. I started working in the events industry. This was a few years ago, a little bit after COVID. Everybody take a deep breath right there, because it's like, yes, everything
Except
that's
the C word.
PTSD, yes. No, I've been to Event Tech Live here in Vegas. This is my second one here in Vegas, and I was also to the one in London. Love it. Love the show. Love Adam Perry. Love the crew. Love all of it. It's great.
What is it about? I mean, of course, everybody loves Adam Perry. Everybody loves the crew, etc. Just in case he's watching. What is it about Event Tech Live that appeals to you?
Well, first of all, I just think we can all agree people in the events industry are the best people. I think it really does, it's inherent because we're all here to connect people, so we are connectors naturally as human beings. And so first, I will say, when I was able to go to one of the Event Tech Lives, the first ones, and it was a little bit after COVID, the amount of hugging I saw, people were running up and screaming into each other and just embracing each other. And while we may not be doing it to that same level today, these days, but we still feel that energy. And that's what I think is so great, is because the unifying force in all of this, whatever people have a booth here for, you're here because you have a part or a piece in connecting other people. So I think that's what drives us all. There's a whole lot of heart there. And so I think that's why I like this. The only thing that would compete with ETL is Comic-Con, because I love Comic-Cons too, and cosplay and all that stuff, because it is just about the wonder and stuff. But man, ETL is right up there, and just the energy and the love is great.
We are a very close-knit community at ETL, but there's less costumes than I expect there are.
Well, we could change that, Adam.
Around. There are some hats.
That's right. I did see some hats. That's right.
So you're using ETL to learn more about what tech you can embrace, but you're also trying to steal some content here and there, aren't you?
I am. So as you mentioned, I'm a podcast producer. I actually produce the podcast for Bizzabo Event Experience. I have a chance. I really do have the best life. I mean, maybe not as good as yours. It's pretty fun too. But I get to interview all of the main players, people who are thought leaders, veterans, super proficient in this world of events. And I get to interview them and talk to them about what's front of mind for them and things like that. So I'm certainly here. Part of what I'm doing here at Bizzabo, part of what I'm doing here at ETL is I am on a quest for additional podcast guests for the podcast I produce for Bizzabo. But I also did a talk here. I just believe so much in podcasting. I mean, it literally is what we're doing right now, where it's like we could send this to you via written word and you'd be like, okay. But you're seeing and hearing us, and there's just so much more credibility, authenticity there. Again, connecting people. So yeah, I'm here to evangelize podcasting and also get podcast guests. And also, if any of y'all need an MC, obviously I like doing that too. I'm a little bit hooked to the microphone, you can tell.
Multi-talented, multiple things going on.
I don't know about talented, but definitally, aggressive.
You did a talk yesterday, right?
I did.
Yeah, and that was about how you. You talked about the engagement. As someone that owns a video production and streaming company, obviously I love a camera too, and the engagement that you feel, and that was a lot about what your talk was about yesterday. Right?
Yeah. So I called the talk "Trust Casting: Building Your Business Through Podcasting," and like I just mentioned, there's a whole lot of issues with trust in society today. People are way less likely to hand over that email address. They're way less likely to visit certain sites. They're even sometimes hedging their bets about even traveling to events like this still. And particularly, I think we're all really familiar with the fact that people are hammering down on their budgets, keeping those dollars close to the chest. So you really are having to overcome a lot more when it comes to being authentic and gaining the credibility and gaining the trust of a customer. So for me, podcasting has been a way where, and not just for me, but for businesses particularly, it's a very prime way, and also the fact it's such a really direct way to reach people. One thing I covered yesterday in the talk was that literally 1 out of 2 men and women in the United States listen to a podcast every month at least. And it's just going to grow. And we also talked about how people might think, oh, well, there's too many podcasts. And I was mentioning, well, guess what? Only 20% of the podcasts on Apple are active. The rest don't even upload don't even upload episodes anymore. So there's a whole market there where, I mean, especially as businesses are all about, let's create content. Like we're doing now. Let's create something, so we'll put it out there. A podcast is just a root fundamental piece of content, and you can repurpose it everywhere. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what I talked about yesterday, but there's a lot of possibility there.
It's really interesting. We talk a lot at First Eye Media about how people buy from people. And I guess if you can articulate your personality through something like a podcast or content creation, that's just another way for people to feel like they know you, right?
Exactly.
So when they're buying from you, they trust you. That's such a great analogy, the trust and associating that with content.
Yeah, because you're seeing our body language right now, and you just get a better sense of somebody versus if they're like sending you an email that you don't see them and they're like, okay, you want me to buy something from you? All right. But you just go a lot farther when they can get a sense of that person. Exactly.
Yeah, so cool, so interesting. Yeah. I don't think it was recorded that stage, was it? What a shame. We'll not be. Did you record it at all?
Which one? Oh,
your session.
I don't know if anyone else recorded it, but I was. It's in my brain. Yeah, exactly.
Busy.
I was a little bit busy.
Yeah, fair enough. So with what you've seen about in the last 2 days, and the industry experts that you've been able to speak to in the podcast you've been doing for Bizzabo and others, what this is mean. I'm sorry. What do you expect the next 12 to 18 months looks like for the event industry? What can we expect?
Y'all, I wish I could.
Big sigh there.
Well. I feel like we've been on this very extreme roller coaster for the last few years. Again, we all thought we came through that pandemic. We're like, okay, we made it to the other side. And then we hit a year where we're like, okay, well, virtual events are great and tech great and everything like that. Well, then everything got, people are like, nope, I'm going back to in person. I want to go back to the way it was. And that just threw everybody for a loop. The events industry has been through the ringer. And I think that even still, the events industry plus so many other industries, this whole AI thing. When I had to plug it, I had to say AI. You
can't speak to me without using
exactly. I should just greet people and say, "Hey, AI, I'm Rachel Moore." But no one can stop talking about it because it is everywhere. It's on every business person's mind, whatever your role is. It's been really interesting as we've been talking to, interviewing guests on the podcast for Bizzabo, and as I've talked to people here on the floor. I think there's excitement, but there's also a whole lot of trepidation around AI. And I think that's certainly going to impact how we proceed into the future with events. How much are we letting AI have its way in how we plan events and how we engage with each other? Coming back full circle to what I said at the beginning, what we talked about was this is a human-to-human thing. AI is not human, not yet. Hopefully never. Yeah. But I think that's going to be the thing we all have to balance going forward. I think the winners in the events industry are going to be the people who figure out that very fine line to toe as far as like how much we incorporate AI, but let's keep the human beings part of it. So I don't know, y'all, I would love to say the roller coaster's done. It's not. I think we're still going to be having to contend with AI and then whatever new tech and innovation comes our way that flips the script on all of us. We're sturdy, we can do it, but it's going to be tough.
Yeah, batten down the hatches, I guess.
Yeah.
What do you think in okay, so if there's anybody at home watching that do their own podcasting, perhaps not through such a reputable specialist as yourself, but something else.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think AI will benefit them and you doing what you do? Is there any specifics that we talk about AI in this big ether of, it's like the metaverse. It's the same sort of story.
Yeah.
Right? Are there any specific AI things that you think are helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was just actually editing a podcast right before I came over here. So AI can do a lot for you. I always think of it like it gets you from square one or blank page to farther than that, whatever degree you want to go. And anytime you can do that, that is a time saver. And I'm all about saving time because time's money, right? So, for instance, the podcast editing software I use, I always want to find shorter clips that are kind of cool that I can put out into the universe that'll draw people to come listen to the full podcast. AI can help you do that. It'll actually like kind of read through your script for you and say, okay, well, I found a really good, how long do you want it to be? Oh, I'd like it to be 45 seconds. Okay, cool. Here's about a 47 second clip that you could go, put out on social media. So it found those clips for me. And again, I might go look at it and say, well, it's not exactly what I want, but it's right there. Let me, so it just got me from, again, 0.0 to farther, like 0.4 or 5, so that now I can take the rest away, but save me time. So certainly the time aspect, there's a lot of automation capabilities I think that we can do. I mean, automation's been around forever, but when you add that artificial intelligence into it, the nice part is it does learn from you. I know that since the first day I started using some of my software that has AI features in it, over the last several months, it's learned what I like to do. And so that's been creepy as well as helpful.
But maybe 0.5 or 6 rather than just a 0.4.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So time savings, of course. I think it's a helper, and for those, and I will also say too, something that's kind of cool about in podcasting, how many times have we like recorded somebody and maybe, when we're editing it later, something cuts, like, oh, that word dropped, darn it, that was like in a really good quote. We can actually use AI to generate what they said because it's looking at the rest of the entire script to say, well, what did their voice sound like? I will replicate them saying that word, and now you've got the full quote. So again, super creepy, but also very helpful. And yes, I've used that. So
disaster saver.
It's totally a disaster saver. So rather than me going back to you and be like, I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
can I just get you on my recording software for 10 seconds and have you say this quote? No, nobody's going to do that. So it's very helpful.
Any specific piece of software you'd plug there, or?
Sure, and yeah, I don't get paid by any of these. I use Descript. I will say David Adler with BizBash was the one that sold me on that. He spoke loads about it. I was like, okay, I'll try it someday.
So he deserves the commission.
Yeah,
if anyone's watching.
there you go, David. That one was for you. No, as soon as I started using it, I was like, oh, I get it. I understand. I use Riverside.fm as well for recording, particularly virtual podcasts over video or audio over the interwebs. Does all these local recordings, then uploads it to the cloud so you get the best possible recording ever. I use Hindenburg. That's not, it's a cloud app, but that downloadable as well, but I like that a lot. So those are just a few of the things that I like to use. And of course Canva, because all of us need to do those little promotional things that are visual about your podcast. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Great, awesome stuff. I fear this is really my interesting specialist subject, this sort of stuff. So I think we could probably talk for 4 or 5 hours.
We sure could, but we won't.
Which does seem to be a problem with much of my guests. I end up talking to them for too long. But Rachel, that's really interesting. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and make sure you check out more of Rachel's stuff.
Thank you.